Did you know that non-alcoholic fatty liver disease now affects about 1 in 4 adults worldwide, and many of these people have never even touched alcohol? In fact, doctors are finding severe liver damage in children as young as 10 years old, not because of drinking, but because of everyday beverages like sodas, juices, and energy drink. The shocking truth is that some of the most common drinks we reach for every day may be more harmful to the liver than alcohol itself. The liver is one of the most extraordinary organs in the human body. It sits quietly in the upper right side of the abdomen, and most of the time we do not feel it or think about it. Yet this organ is constantly working, performing over 500 essential tasks. It filters toxins from the blood, metabolizes nutrients, stores energy, helps regulate hormones, produces proteins necessary for clotting, and secretes bile to digest fat. Without the liver, survival is impossible. Unlike many organs, the liver has a remarkable capacity to regenerate, but this ability is not unlimited. Chronic, repeated damage will eventually outpace the liver's power to heal. That is why it is often called both a resilient and fragile organ at the same time. When people think about liver damage, they immediately picture alcohol. For centuries, alcohol consumption has been recognized as a leading cause of liver disease. Excessive drinking can lead to alcoholic fatty liver, hepatitis, cirrhosis, and liver cancer. Because of this, alcohol has become the villain in most conversations about liver health. But what many people fail to realize is that in the modern world, alcohol is not the only, or even the greatest, threat. There are drinks consumed casually every day, often by children and young adults, that quietly do even more harm to the liver than alcohol. These beverages are socially accepted, aggressively marketed, and in many cases, even believed to be healthy. Yet behind the scenes, they deliver a toxic load that slowly but surely destroys liver function. One of the most damaging categories of these drinks is sugary sodas. When you pop open a can of soda, you may think of it as a harmless treat. But from the liver's perspective, it is a chemical bomb. Most sodas are sweetened with high-fructose corn syrup, a type of sugar that places a unique burden on the liver. Unlike glucose, which can be metabolized by virtually every cell in the body, fructose can only be processed in significant amounts by the liver. When fructose enters the liver, it is rapidly converted into fat. Some of this fat is transported out into the bloodstream as triglycerides, increasing the risk of cardiovascular disease. But much of it stays in the liver, accumulating inside hepatocytes, the liver's working cells. Over time, these fat droplets enlarge, crowding out normal cell structures and triggering inflammation. This condition, known as non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, NAFLD, is now epidemic in scale. Decades ago, NAFLD was rare and mostly seen in people with unusual metabolic conditions. Today, it affects an estimated 25% of adults worldwide, and alarmingly, it is increasingly common in children and adolescents. In fact, pediatric NAFLD is one of the fastest-growing health problems, largely driven by the explosion in sugary drink consumption. Children who have never touched a drop of alcohol are developing the same kind of fatty liver changes once seen only in middle-aged heavy drinkers. The consequences are devastating because NAFLD can silently progress to non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, NASH, fibrosis, and eventually cirrhosis. By the time symptoms appear, fatigue, jaundice, abdominal swelling, the damage is often irreversible. What makes sugary sodas so insidious is how normal they seem. They are sold everywhere, from schools to restaurants to vending machines. Marketing campaigns associate them with fun, happiness, friendship, and even athletic performance. But the truth is stark. A single can of soda can contain as much as 40 grams of sugar, the equivalent of 10 teaspoons. Drinking just one soda a day, without any other changes in lifestyle, has been linked to a significantly higher risk of fatty liver disease. And many people drink not one, but 2, 3, or more per day. In many regions, soda is consumed more than water. For the liver, this is like pouring fuel on a fire day after day. Energy drinks take the problem to another level. Not only are they loaded with sugar, but they also contain large amounts of caffeine, taurine, and other stimulants. These compounds must be metabolized and detoxified by the liver. Energy drinks often come in large cans, and young people may consume several in a short time period, especially during study sessions, parties, or sporting events. Case reports have documented instances of acute liver failure in otherwise healthy young adults after consuming large amounts of energy drink. In some cases, patients required emergency liver transplant. The combination of sugar, chemicals, and stimulants overwhelms the liver's ability to cope, producing inflammation, oxidative stress, and even direct toxicity to liver cells. Fruit juice is another category that many people wrongly consider safe. On the surface, juice seems healthy. It comes from fruit, it's natural, it's associated with vitamins. But the way the body processes juice is very different from whole fruit. When you eat an orange, the fiber slows the absorption of sugar, allowing the liver to metabolize it gradually. When you drink a glass of orange juice, you are consuming the sugar of 3 or 4 oranges in just a few gulps without any fiber. The result is a sudden flood of fructose hitting the liver. Commercial fruit juices are often even worse, because they may contain added sugars or concentrate, making them more similar to soda than to fruit. Research has shown that frequent juice consumption is strongly linked to fatty liver disease, obesity, and metabolic syndrome. In children, the effect is particularly dramatic, because their smaller bodies and developing livers cannot handle such concentrated sugar load. Artificially sweetened diet drinks add another twist. At first, they were marketed as the healthy alternative: zero sugar, 0 calories, guilt-free enjoyment. But emerging research is showing that artificial sweeteners are not as harmless as once believed. Substances like aspartame, saccharin, and sucralose can alter gut microbiota, disrupt insulin signaling, and in some studies, have been linked to increased risk of NAFLD. The mechanism is not fully understood, but one theory is that artificial sweeteners trick the body into expecting sugar, causing metabolic confusion that stresses the liver. Another possibility is that the sweeteners themselves act as xenobiotics, foreign substances, that the liver must detoxify, adding to its workload. Either way, relying on diet drinks as a safe alternative to soda is proving to be a dangerous misconception. Coffee drinks, particularly the popular flavored lattes, frappuccinos, and specialty beverages, are another hidden threat. Coffee in its pure form, without sugar or cream, has actually been shown to be protective for the liver. But when coffee is turned into a dessert-like beverage with pumps of flavored syrup, whipped cream, and sweet toppings, it becomes a sugar bomb. Some coffeehouse drinks contain 60 to 70 grams of sugar in a single serving. For the liver, this is no different from drinking 2 cans of soda in one go. The danger is that people consume these drinks regularly, even daily, believing they are indulging in coffee, not realizing that they are dosing their liver with massive amounts of sugar and fat. Milkshakes and blended dessert drinks are in the same category. High in sugar, fat, and often served in huge portions, they present a double burden to the liver. Not only must the liver process the fructose, but it must also deal with the saturated fats and artificial additive. This combination accelerates the progression of fatty liver disease. Because these drinks are often consumed as treats or rewards, people tend to underestimate their cumulative impact. But for the liver, there is no distinction between a soda and a milkshake. Both are harmful, and both can be worse than alcohol when consumed regularly. Sports drinks are another beverage often disguised as healthy but carrying a hidden cost for the liver. They are marketed as essential for hydration and electrolyte replenishment after exercise, and indeed, in cases of extreme endurance training, they can be useful. But for the average person, who might only walk for half an hour or do light gym work, the electrolytes are not needed and the sugar load is excessive. A single bottle can contain 30 to 40 grams of sugar, which is no different from drinking soda. The liver is forced to process this excess sugar, storing it as fat. Over time, regular use of sports drinks contributes to fatty liver disease, weight gain, and insulin resistance. The irony is that many people reach for them believing they are making a health-conscious choice. Sweetened teas and bottled iced teas are equally deceptive. A bottle of iced tea may sound refreshing and healthier than soda, but in many cases, it contains as much sugar as a cola. Some brands load their teas with high-fructose corn syrup, while others add concentrated sweeteners. Even so-called green tea drinks are often heavily sweetened. For the liver, it makes no difference whether the sugar comes from cola or from a tea bottle. Both flood the organ with fructose, both accelerate fat accumulation, and both promote inflammation. The image of tea as a wellness beverage is undermined once sugar is added in such large amounts. Smoothies deserve special mention because they are perhaps the most misunderstood. Homemade smoothies made with whole fruits, vegetables, seeds, and without added sugars can be beneficial. But most smoothies purchased at cafes or fast food outlets are anything but healthy. They are blended with fruit concentrates, ice cream, flavored syrups, or sweetened yogurt. The result is a drink that can easily surpass 60 grams of sugar in one serving. For the liver, this is a direct blow, very similar to drinking multiple cans of soda. The danger is that people consume these smoothies daily, sometimes in addition to other meals, adding an enormous sugar burden to their diet. Pediatric cases of fatty liver disease have been linked not only to soda but also to supposedly healthy smoothies marketed to children. Mocktails and alcohol-free beers are another surprising category. They may contain little or no alcohol, but to make up for the missing flavor, manufacturers often add sweeteners, syrups, and juices. This makes them even higher in sugar than their alcoholic counterparts. A glass of alcohol-free wine or a trendy alcohol-free cocktail may carry twice the sugar of a regular drink. People often consume them more freely, assuming they are harmless, but the liver pays the price. When consumed regularly, these beverages can cause more harm to liver health than moderate alcohol intake ever would. The problem across all of these drinks, sports beverages, teas, smoothies, mocktails, is that they create a constant stream of sugar, additives, and chemicals that the liver must process. Unlike alcohol, which may be consumed occasionally or in social situations, these beverages are consumed daily, even multiple times a day. The chronic exposure is what makes them dangerous. The liver never gets a break. Every day, it is flooded with fructose, syrups, artificial colorings, and preservatives. Over time, this leads to chronic inflammation, oxidative stress, and scarring. The cycle is slow but relentless. The reality is that many of these drinks are marketed as healthy, refreshing, or safe. They are sold in schools, gyms, and supermarkets. Parents give them to children, athletes drink them after practice, and adults sip them throughout the day. But inside the body, they act like silent toxins, quietly advancing liver disease. To truly understand why certain drinks harm the liver more than alcohol, it helps to look at the biology. The liver's job is to act like a central processing unit. Everything you eat or drink passes through it in some form. Alcohol is toxic, yes, but the liver has enzymes specifically evolved to metabolize ethanol. In small to moderate amounts, alcohol can be broken down relatively efficiently. The danger comes when consumption overwhelms the liver's enzymatic capacity. Sugar, particularly fructose, is a different kind of problem. Unlike alcohol, fructose metabolism is handled almost exclusively by the liver, and there is no upper limit built into human biology to signal when enough is enough. When you drink a soda, juice, or sweetened coffee, the fructose floods straight to the liver. Once there, it bypasses normal regulatory pathways and is converted directly into fat through a process called de novo lipogenesis. The liver begins storing this fat inside its own cells. At first, this might seem harmless, but over time, fat droplets build up, causing the liver to swell and its cells to malfunction. This is the foundation of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. But the process does not stop at fat storage. As hepatocytes fill with fat, they become stressed and begin releasing inflammatory signals. Immune cells arrive, producing more inflammation. The mitochondria, the energy factories inside liver cells, become overloaded and produce excess free radicals. These free radicals cause oxidative stress, damaging DNA, proteins, and cell membranes. If this cycle continues, the liver progresses from simple fatty liver, steatosis, to non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, NASH, a condition marked by both fat and inflammation. NASH can then progress to fibrosis, where scar tissue forms in place of healthy liver cells. Eventually, this scarring can lead to cirrhosis, where the liver hardens and loses function altogether. At this stage, the only cure is a transplant. One of the alarming aspects of sugary and artificially sweetened drinks is that they expose the liver to a constant, low-grade version of this cycle. While alcohol is often consumed episodically, on weekends, at parties, during holidays, sodas, juices, and energy drinks are consumed daily. This daily exposure leaves the liver no time to rest or regenerate. It is as if the organ is under siege every single day, building damage year after year until the consequences are visible. Real-life cases illustrate the danger. Pediatricians are increasingly diagnosing fatty liver disease in children as young as 10. These kids have never consumed alcohol, yet their livers look like those of long-term drinkers. The common denominator is sugary drinks, juice boxes, sodas, sports drinks, and flavored milk. In adults, there are countless reports of individuals who rarely drink alcohol but still develop advanced liver disease. Many of these patients consumed large amounts of sweetened beverages over decades, unaware of the damage they were causing. Some ended up needing liver transplants in their 40s or 50s, not because of alcohol, but because of the everyday drinks they thought were harmless. Scientific studies confirm these findings. Research has shown that consuming just 1 or 2 sugary drinks per day significantly increases the risk of NAFLD. Other studies demonstrate that people who replace sugary beverages with water or unsweetened tea see measurable improvements in liver enzymes and fat levels within weeks. The evidence is overwhelming. What we drink matters just as much as what we eat, if not more. Another layer of complexity comes from additives found in many processed drinks. Artificial colorings, preservatives, and stabilizers all have to be metabolized by the liver. While each ingredient may be approved as safe in small doses, the cumulative effect of consuming them daily, in multiple beverages, is not well studied. Some research suggests that certain food dyes and preservatives increase oxidative stress in liver tissue, compounding the damage caused by sugar. The long-term impact of these chemicals may take decades to become fully apparent, but the signals are concerning. It is also important to consider how the social perception of these drinks influences behavior. Alcohol comes with warnings and age restrictions. Everyone knows it can be dangerous. Sugary drinks, on the other hand, are sold without warning labels, often directly to children. Bright packaging, cartoon characters, and words like natural or energy create an illusion of safety. The truth is that many of these drinks are not only unsafe, they may be more dangerous than alcohol precisely because they are consumed without caution. The cumulative effect of these beverages is visible in global health statistics. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is now the most common chronic liver condition worldwide. It affects more than a quarter of the global population. In some countries, the prevalence is even higher, and projections suggest it will soon surpass alcohol-related liver disease as the leading cause of liver transplants. This rise mirrors the global increase in soda, juice, and processed drink consumption. For the individual, the damage is silent at first. The liver has no nerve endings to signal pain. A person may drink sodas and juices daily for years without feeling anything unusual. blood tests may show mildly elevated liver enzymes, but many people never get tested until the disease is advanced. By the time symptoms such as fatigue, abdominal swelling, or jaundice appear, significant damage is already done. That is why prevention and awareness are crucial. In summary, the liver is under siege from modern beverages in ways that may be more damaging than alcohol itself. Sugar, fructose, additives, and daily exposure create a perfect storm of fat accumulation, inflammation, oxidative stress, and scarring. Real-life cases and scientific research both confirm that the risk is real, immediate, and growing. While alcohol still deserves its reputation as harmful, the drinks we casually consume every day may pose an even greater threat. One of the most overlooked aspects of liver damage from beverages is how these drinks interact with other lifestyle factors. For example, when sugary or artificially sweetened drinks are consumed alongside a diet high in processed foods, the damage compounds. The liver not only has to process sugar from the beverages, but also fats, preservatives, and chemicals from food. This combined assault accelerates the progression of liver disease. Sleep and stress also play a role. The liver has its own circadian rhythm. Drinking energy drinks late at night, or consuming sweetened coffee beverages to stay awake, disrupts the natural rest cycles of the liver. Over time, this disruption worsens metabolic problems and increases fat buildup. Stress hormones like cortisol also influence liver function. People who cope with stress by drinking sugary beverages or specialty coffees are unknowingly adding to the problem. Another critical issue is how marketing shapes perceptions. Sports drinks, smoothies, bottled teas, all of them are sold as healthy, refreshing, or even necessary. Parents buy juice boxes for children believing they are making a better choice than soda. In reality, the sugar content is often identical. This misperception is dangerous because it removes caution. Where alcohol comes with social stigma and warning labels, sugary drinks come with bright colors and health claims. From a public health perspective, the impact is enormous. Liver disease driven by non-alcoholic causes is now costing billions in healthcare systems worldwide. Patients require long-term monitoring, medications, and in severe cases, transplants. Unlike alcohol-related damage, which is often concentrated in adults with high consumption, sugar-driven liver disease affects all ages, from children to the elderly. But the good news is that small changes make a big difference. Research shows that when people replace sugary drinks with water, unsweetened tea, or black coffee, liver fat can decrease measurably in just weeks. Enzyme levels improve, inflammation subsides, and the liver begins to heal. The organ's resilience means that with the right support, much of the early damage can be reversed. That is why awareness is so powerful. The earlier people understand which drinks are harmful, the sooner they can take steps to protect their liver. When we consider the drinks that damage the liver more than alcohol, it is not just about the biology or the numbers on nutrition labels. It is also about the way these beverages infiltrate daily life and become habit. Alcohol, despite its dangers, is often consumed with a certain awareness. People know there are risks. They pace themselves, they drink on weekends, or they avoid it entirely. Sugary sodas, juices, energy drinks, and flavored coffees, on the other hand, are consumed casually, without hesitation, and often without limit. This difference in perception is one of the greatest reasons why these drinks end up causing such devastating long-term harm. To understand this better, imagine two people. One drinks alcohol on weekends, maybe 2 or 3 glasses of wine. The other drinks 2 sodas and a sweetened latte every day. Over the course of a month, the second person's liver processes far more sugar and fructose than the first person's liver processes alcohol. Over years, the cumulative burden of daily sugar creates more fat deposits, more inflammation, and more oxidative stress than the occasional alcohol ever could. The result is that the non-drinker may end up with a sicker liver than the one who drinks socially. This paradox is shocking but supported by clinical evidence. Doctors who treat liver patients often tell stories of people arriving at the clinic, surprised by their diagnosis. They are told they have cirrhosis or advanced fatty liver disease. Their first response is disbelief. But I don't drink alcohol. Yet their daily beverage choices, sodas, juices, energy drinks, have silently been harming them for years. For many, this is difficult to accept, because society has not framed sugary beverages as dangerous. Instead, they are seen as indulgences, harmless treats, or even health boosters. The reality is different. Sodas contain massive amounts of high-fructose corn syrup. Juices are concentrated sugar without the balancing fiber of whole fruit. Energy drinks combine sugar, caffeine, and chemicals that directly stress the liver. Specialty coffees hide dozens of teaspoons of sugar in a single cup. Smoothies and mocktails, marketed as healthy or alcohol-free, can deliver more sugar in one serving than several glasses of wine. All of these drinks are consumed daily, sometimes multiple times a day, turning what seems like small indulgences into a relentless attack on liver health. Science has confirmed the severity of the problem. Longitudinal studies have tracked populations over years and found clear associations between sugary drink consumption and increased rates of liver disease, type 2 diabetes, and cardiovascular problems. In some studies, participants who drank just one sugary drink per day were 30 to 40% more likely to develop fatty liver than those who rarely consumed them. Pediatric studies have shown that children who regularly consume juice and soda have significantly higher liver fat content, even if they are not overweight. These findings highlight that the damage is not just about weight gain or obesity, it is about the direct impact on the liver itself. The economic cost is staggering. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is projected to become the leading cause of liver transplants in the next 2 decades. Transplants are expensive, risky, and not available to everyone. For every person who receives a transplant, many more die waiting. The burden on healthcare systems continues to grow, not only from liver disease but also from the interconnected conditions it causes: diabetes, heart disease, and kidney failure. All of this is fueled, in large part, by drinks sitting on supermarket shelves, sold in bright packaging with smiling logos. But there is hope, and it begins with awareness. The liver is resilient. Unlike many organs, it can heal if given the chance. Studies show that within weeks of eliminating sugary beverages, liver enzyme levels can normalize, fat deposits can shrink, and inflammation can decrease. This is not just theory, it has been observed in real patients. People who once faced dire prognosis have seen measurable improvements by changing what they drink. Choosing water over soda, black coffee over frappuccinos, unsweetened tea over bottled iced tea. These small decisions accumulate into powerful protection. For children, the effect is even more profound. Parents who replace juice boxes with water help protect their kids from pediatric fatty liver disease. Schools that offer water instead of soda can shift the health trajectory of entire communities. On a larger scale, some governments have already implemented sugar taxes or warning labels on sweetened drinks, leading to reduced consumption and better health outcomes. While controversial, these policies highlight the seriousness of the issue and the need for collective action. On a personal level, the challenge is breaking habit. Many people are addicted not only to the sugar but also to the emotional comfort of these drinks. Sodas are tied to celebrations, energy drinks to productivity, lattes to routines, juices to childhood. To let go of them feels like giving up a part of daily life. But with awareness comes the understanding that these drinks are not harmless, they are silent toxins. And the reward for change is immense. A healthier liver, more energy, a longer life. The final message is simple yet urgent. Alcohol is not the only drink that destroys the liver. In today's world, the drinks most people believe to be safe, sodas, juices, energy drinks, sweetened coffees, smoothies, may be doing far greater damage. They are consumed more frequently, in larger amounts, and with less caution than alcohol ever was. The result is a silent epidemic of liver disease that threatens millions worldwide. But this epidemic is preventable. By choosing differently, by recognizing the hidden dangers in our cups and bottles, we can protect our livers, our health, and our future. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to see more videos about your precious health.